Over 70% of seniors are missing one critical nutrient right now, and most of them have no idea it's slowly damaging their body. Over 70% of seniors today are walking around with one silent deficiency, and most of them have absolutely no idea it's affecting their body every single day. What makes this so dangerous is that the symptoms feel normal. Fatigue feels like aging. Weak bones feel like aging. Poor balance feels like aging. Low mood feels like aging. Memory slips feel like aging. But in reality, many of these problems are not just about age. They are often signs that your body is missing one critical nutrient it desperately needs after 50 and even more after 60 and 70. I see this every single week in people who tell me they eat well, they take a multivitamin, and they believe they're doing everything right. Yet their muscles stay weak, their joints stay stiff, their energy stays low, and their balance keeps getting worse. This deficiency quietly weakens the immune system, lowers muscle strength, increases fracture risk, and even affects the brain. The scariest part is that many people don't feel sick from it at first. They just feel slowly less capable. A little more tired getting up from a chair. A little slower walking across the room. A little less steady on stairs. A little more fearful of falling, and over time that loss of confidence changes how they live their life. They stop going out as much. They avoid long walks. They rely more on others. Independence begins to shrink. And all of this can happen without pain, without warning, and without a clear moment when everything changed. It simply fades. What makes this deficiency even more dangerous is that it affects nearly every system in the body at the same time. It weakens bones and makes fractures more likely. It weakens muscles and increases fall risk. It weakens immunity and makes recovery slower. It affects mood and contributes to anxiety and depression, and it even affects the heart. Yet despite all this, most seniors are never properly tested for it unless something serious already happens. One of the biggest reasons this deficiency is so widespread among people over 50 is that the body simply does not absorb nutrients the same way it did in younger years. The stomach produces less acid. The intestines become less efficient. Certain medications block absorption even further. And many seniors eat smaller portions, skip meals, or avoid foods that once supplied what their body needs. Add to that less time in sunlight, less outdoor movement, and more time indoors, and you have the perfect setup for silent depletion. What's even more concerning is how this deficiency targets bone strength quietly. Bones are living tissue. They constantly rebuild themselves, but without the right nutrients, that rebuilding process weakens. The outer structure may look fine for years, but inside the bone becomes porous and fragile. That's why many seniors break a wrist, hip, or spine from falls that would not have caused injury earlier in life. And once a major fracture happens after 70, many people never fully recover their independence. Muscle loss is another major consequence. After 50, every decade without proper nutrition and stimulation leads to faster muscle shrinkage. This condition makes standing from a chair harder, climbing stairs exhausting, and balance unstable. And when muscles weaken, joints suffer even more because muscles are what protect joints from stress. Without that support, pain increases, stiffness increases, and movement becomes more limited. Then the cycle tightens. Less movement leads to more weakness. More weakness leads to more fear, and fear leads to even less movement. The brain is another silent victim of this deficiency. Many seniors notice more forgetfulness, slower thinking, lower motivation, and even mood changes. They use words like foggy, flat, unmotivated, or disconnected. This is not just psychological. This deficiency interferes with nerve signaling, neurotransmitter balance, and blood flow regulation in the brain. Over time, this can contribute to memory decline, depression, and increased risk of cognitive disorders. Sleep also suffers deeply when this nutrient runs low. Many seniors struggle to fall asleep, wake up frequently at night, or wake up already feeling exhausted. Poor sleep further weakens immunity, accelerates muscle loss, increases pain sensitivity, and worsens memory. The heart is also affected more than most people realize. This deficiency influences blood pressure regulation, heart rhythm stability, and blood vessel flexibility. When it runs low, blood pressure often rises, palpitations become more frequent, and circulation becomes less efficient. Hands and feet feel colder. Fatigue becomes constant. Small exertion feels heavy, and because these changes happen gradually, people adjust their life around them instead of questioning the cause. The immune system also begins to slow down. Infections become more frequent. Healing takes longer. Simple illnesses linger. The body no longer rebounds quickly. And it's not because the body is old, it's because it's undersupplied. What's especially dangerous is that many of the most common symptoms of this deficiency are blamed on completely wrong causes. Dizziness is blamed on blood pressure alone. Weakness is blamed on age. Bone pain is blamed on arthritis. Sadness is blamed on loneliness. Poor sleep is blamed on stress. And while all of those can play a role, the hidden deficiency underneath often goes unrecognized for years. I've seen patients regain strength, improve balance, sleep better, walk with more confidence, and feel mentally sharper simply by correcting this one missing link. And no, it doesn't mean sudden youth returns. But it does mean the body starts working closer to how it was designed to work instead of slowly shutting down. What matters most is catching it before major damage happens. Before a fall, before a fracture, before a hospital stay, before independence is lost. The tragedy is that this deficiency is one of the easiest to test, yet one of the most commonly ignored in older adults, unless a crisis forces attention. And even when it is identified, many people do not correct it properly or consistently. They take random supplements without guidance. They forget doses. They stop once they feel slightly better, and the levels drop again quietly in the background. What truly protects the senior body is not perfection but consistency. The body after 50 responds best to steady daily support. When this missing nutrient is restored gradually and maintained in a safe range, the changes can be remarkable over time. Muscles respond better to movement, bones become more resilient, balance improves, falls become less frequent, mood stabilizes, sleep deepens, immunity strengthens, recovery speeds up, and confidence begins to return. Many seniors don't realize how much of their daily suffering they've simply learned to tolerate. Pain that they assume is permanent. Fatigue they assume is inevitable. Weakness they assume is irreversible. In many cases it isn't. The body is incredibly responsive when it's finally given what it's been missing. The most important step is awareness. Simply knowing that this deficiency exists, and that it silently affects most people over 70 already puts you ahead of the majority. The second most important step is testing, not guessing. And the third is staying consistent once correction begins. Because the body does not rebuild overnight, but it does rebuild when given steady support. And when strength slowly returns, so does freedom. The freedom to walk without fear. The freedom to sleep without exhaustion. The freedom to live without constant limitation. And that is something every person deserves at any age. There is another layer of danger with this deficiency that most seniors never connect to their daily struggle, and that is how it quietly changes the way the nervous system communicates with the rest of the body. When this nutrient runs low for long periods, nerve signaling becomes slower and less accurate. This is one reason why many older adults feel tingling in their hands and feet, sudden weakness in the legs, poor coordination, and delayed reaction time. The body simply does not respond as quickly as it should. You reach for support a second too late. You misjudge a step by a few inches. You turn your head and feel lightheaded. These tiny delays are exactly how many serious falls begin. The danger is not always dramatic. It is subtle. It hides inside everyday moments. Then there is the effect on hormone balance. This deficiency interferes with how the body regulates key hormones related to mood, sleep, appetite, and stress response. Many seniors notice that their mood becomes flatter, motivation drops, anxiety increases, and stressful situations feel overwhelming. They think something is wrong with their personality or their mental strength. In reality, the chemistry supporting emotional stability is simply out of balance. Appetite also becomes unpredictable. Some people lose interest in food and become undernourished. Others crave the wrong foods and gain unhealthy weight. Both patterns weaken the body further. Even the eyes are affected. Visual sharpness, night vision, and focus can decline faster when this nutrient remains low. Seniors often blame this only on aging of the eyes, but the supporting tissues and nerves also depend on proper nutrition to function. Over time, the body adapts to this weakened state and begins to operate in survival mode rather than optimal function. Energy is conserved, movement is avoided, recovery is slowed, and the person slowly adjusts their life downward without realizing that this downward shift was not inevitable. What makes this especially heartbreaking is that many people only discover this deficiency after a major life event forces testing: a fracture, repeated infections, unexplained weakness, severe fatigue, or a sudden hospital stay. They are told, sometimes for the first time, that their levels have been dangerously low for years. At that point, correction becomes more difficult, and recovery slower. This is why early awareness matters so much. Correcting this deficiency before a crisis can mean the difference between maintaining independence and losing it. And once correction begins properly and consistently, the body often sends clear signals of recovery. Walking becomes easier. Getting up from a chair requires less effort. Sleep becomes deeper. Mood stabilizes. Fear slowly loosens its grip. The body may not return to youth, but it does return to strength that allows a person to live instead of merely exist. The truth is, many seniors are not truly weak. They are undernourished at a cellular level. And when the cells finally receive what they have been missing for so long, the body begins to remember how to function with confidence again.